Good afternoon and welcome back to Oneida Live here on the Oneida Nation Reservation in Wisconsin. Today is Thursday, December 4th, and I'm Crystal Holt, Senior Public Relations Specialist for the Communications Department. Today we have the privilege of having Treasurer Larry Barton and CFO Barton and Ninham-Lamberies here in the studio to provide an update as to what things are happening in their respective areas. Larry and Linda, go ahead.
Well, thank you, Crystal, and thank you, communications staff, both Xavier and Mia, for helping out. We're really glad to be here and hoping to communicate ahead of Monday night's meeting our budget that we'll present to the community. It's important to understand it really is the culmination of all the programs and the effort to meet community need on many levels. It certainly is not singularly finance or the treasurer's budget. It really truly is the membership's allocations as you've articulated the needs in the community. Certainly there are finite resources, needs are infinite. We attempt to provide guidance to meet those needs, certainly with limited resources. The three primary areas of allocation, and the CFO, Rolinda, will cite that. Certainly our mandates, our General Tribal Council mandates. That is the first element of allocation. And then our program delivery, importantly. And certainly that is the one of the key concentrations of our capital allocation, both grant money and tribal contribution, our own resources. So importantly, the employees to deliver those services are certainly part of our employment base, and we're grateful for the effort they provide to make our community better. We did have initially, and Rolinda will speak to it, a $38 million gap to balance. So reductions were executed in order to meet our sources with our uses. And again, we acknowledge there's unmet need, and with the prioritization with all the areas input, we did reconcile that challenge. I do want to acknowledge one of the services that we do provide of value. Certainly it's asked, where is the money going? But in a specific manner, our elder services area, I will acknowledge, because just one facet of the many important services they deliver, plowing of elder driveways in excess of or approximately 100 driveways of our elders. And we thank the workers that have to get up and grind away to, in challenging weather, clean those driveways off for our elders. So that's just one of a litany of services we do provide. Certainly we acknowledge also DPW with snow removal. So a lot of times we look past those specific service delivery elements that we provide for our community, the value added, but it also takes monetary resources, and those are embedded in the budget. We did, as many of you know, have two budget sessions. Those of you who took time to attend, we thank you for that. This Monday at the the Oneida Hotel, we did meet and had a successful input session. We had a lot of good comments and productive dialogue. We also met Tuesday at the CIOT's office facility and also had productive comments and great input. So with that, I'll wish everybody happy holidays, acknowledge upcoming midwinter, and my favorite change of seasons, which is winter solstice, because the days start getting longer. So we can then count down till spring. And again, nice weather. Not that winter isn't nice either, but today it's pretty cold out there. Look forward to all of you attending on December 8th, our GTC meeting. And with that, welcome any questions. Myself and Rolinda are here to answer questions regarding the budget, how we got here. Certainly any input we welcome. Again, this is a community's budget, and we provide the guidance to facilitate those important resource allocations that we're blessed with. So I'll turn it over to CFO, Chief Financial Officer Barton Ninham-Lamberies. She will walk through a brief PowerPoint. And again, we welcome input. My phone number, 869-4394. Of course, that is a 920 area code. Thank you.
Sigoli Sigwe. As Larry indicated, our first consolidation of the budget identified a negative variance Our sources came in at $552.8 million, and our uses came in at $591.8 million. This is a deficit of $39 million. Our resolutions, that is the GTC mandates, were $54.5 million. Our capital, $62.2 million, and our operational costs, $591.8 million. Unfortunately, a $38 or $39 million deficit is not unusual when we are consolidating our sources and uses. Historically, with the exception of 1 year, the first consolidation of the budget identifies a structural deficit between $39 and $55 million each year. So the way that we balance our sources and uses in the fiscal year 26 budget is we reduced or delayed expenses. And the reductions and the delays that we proposed in the fiscal year 26 budget includes a CIP reduction of $10 million. The land acquisition was reduced by $7.9 million. We were setting aside funds for OLIP future expenses. We reduced that set aside by $2.5 million. Gaming equipment was reduced by $1.9 million. The building maintenance set aside was reduced by $1.5 million, and the technology set aside was reduced by $1 million. It's important to note that those reductions aren't cuts. Those reductions will come forward as expenses in future budget years because we are going to need the CIP requests. The OLIP, we should be setting aside funds to ensure that that benefit is financially sustainable for the members. The gaming equipment, those expenses have been delayed to 27. The same thing with the building maintenance set aside, as well as the technology set aside. We were able to bring in increased sources of revenue. These are one-time sources of revenue, so they're not recurring. We were able to bring in grant funds. They are the local area and tribal consistency funding of $5.87 million and prior year carryover of $4 million. So when we rolled up our budget, the total budget for fiscal year 26, our sources of funding are $571,029,661. The largest source of funding for the Oneida Nation budget comes from our tribal enterprises, gaming and retail. $381.8 million, or 67% of our sources of funding, come from gaming and retail. The next largest source of funding is grants at $76.1 million, or 13% of our overall budget comes from grants. Program income, $63.8 million, or 11% of our funding sources. Our other sources, which include the investment interest, $9 million. We have our depreciation of $15 million, as well as our other sources of funding that we brought in to balance the budget of $5.87 for our LATCF grant funds and our prior year carryover of $4 million. And then our internal allocations, 4%, or $20 million. That $571,029,661,000 is 43% of that is spent in personnel, wage, and fringe. 15%, or $87.9 million, is for our operations. Gaming operations is $84 million, another 15%. Retail operations, which includes their cost of goods sold, is $63.3 million, or 11%. Our mandates, $54.5 million, or 10% of our budget is for mandates. Our capital and equipment is $22.3 million, or 4%. We have set-asides to ensure that some items are financially sustainable, $8.3 million, or 1%. And then we have land, $7.9 million, or 1% of our overall budget. Included in the fiscal year 26 for general welfare payments is a payment for all members of $1,500. The total cost of that payment is $22,705,320. There's the $2,000 payment for members 62 and older. That cost is $7,335,840. Our minors, $1,500, which goes to their trust funds. The total cost for that is $3,935,115. There is still the elder 65 plus payment of $704. That is paid from the trust and enrollment interest and is not funded in the tribal contribution for fiscal year 26. That's why it's not included as a budget allocation. In fiscal year 26, as in fiscal year 25, there is no $500 food general welfare assistance. The funding for that general welfare payment was the ARPA TC savings funding. There is no funding available for that $500 food payment, which is why there was none in. There will be no payment from fiscal year 25 forward. You can reach me at 920-869-4242 with any questions. Thank you.
And I am not seeing any questions up here today. We got people watching from Albuquerque, Arizona. And I'd just like to run over a few announcements before we sign off here. The Elder Food Box distribution is Friday, tomorrow, starting at 10 until gone at Water Circle Plaza, and elders are encouraged to stop by and pick their box up. Again, a reminder, GTC budget meeting is scheduled for Monday, December 8th, 6 o'clock at the Oneida Hotel, Casino Hotel. Doors open at 4 for registration. Let's see, the Stuff the Bus is canceled for today. Due to the cold temperatures, in lieu of this closure, they've set up a Christmas box at Oneida Public Transit. The address is N7341 Water Circle Plaza in Oneida. Donations can be dropped off Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Children ages newborn to 17 years old. And then we just want to remind everyone to stay informed and connected with updates that matter most to you. Choose your favorite topics or subscribe to them all. It's your choice. Signing up is easy. Just visit oneida/nsn.gov/subscribe. Don't miss out and join today. And then thanks for joining us for another segment of Oneida Live, and we'll see you next week, Tuesday.